A thrill, a huge thrill to have your father's statue. My goodness. And you know, if it wasn't for John Pyle spearheading this fundraising, we wouldn't all be here doing this today. So let's give him a thank you. I just want to say, you know, how important Morgantown was to my dad. You know, from the time my brother and I were kids, we heard so much about this town, and certain places in town, like the clock tower, the West Virginia University clock tower, they were legend in our minds. You know, so many stories, and about the movie theater he ushered, and just little places in town. And he was kind of secretive when he come here. We didn't even know he was coming, usually, unless it was a high school reunion. But he did bring me here one time when I was about 9 years old, and he took me to the hotel. The Hotel Morgan, which I guess at the time was the only hotel in town. Was it, John? The only hotel? And so he brought me in there, and he was so proud showing me around, and he set down the suitcase, rang the bell, and nobody showed up. Finally, after we waited about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, a fella came up, shuffling on down the stairs, just real relaxed. Dad just said, howdy, what can I do for you? So that's Morgantown. That's my hometown. He was so proud. And I do see, looking around at the town, I see, you know, influences in the town that he brought to the Andy Griffith Show. The characters in town and even the buildings in the town, they just give me that feeling. And he was really very, very close to the town. And we had, he did bring out Jarvie Eldred and Richie Ferrara, as John mentioned, when he had some very special ceremonies, like when he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He invited Jarvie and Richie Ferrara to come out, and they were in the limousine driving around, and my dad was having so much fun talking with them, telling stories about Morgantown, reminiscing. He'd come back to see Jarvie all the time, and on his birthday and everything, and it was just really, really fun of the town. And I really am so thrilled to be here. I come every year. Have you guys ever been to Mayberry Days? And any of you? And have you? Okay, so that's a really great event in Mount Airy, North Carolina, every year that keeps the Andy Griffith Show alive, because people come and they dress like the characters, and it's a real blast. You know, it's a real blast of the past. And so I've been doing my show there every year, and it's just wonderful. And my dad, even when he got famous, it never affected him. He was just still the small town guy, like John said, very humble and shy even. And for years, people have been encouraging me to write a book about my dad. And I've always shied away from that, and I finally decided I'm going to do it, really going to do it this time. So thank you. I need that encouragement. Thank you. And over the years, people have emailed me or Facebooked me about saying that they were a relative of my dad or distant relations, and had little stories about my dad. And I would always say, oh, thank you, that's nice to hear, but I never kept track of them. And so I want to encourage you, if any of you knew my dad or knew somebody, a relative or somebody or a friend who knew him and have a little story, please tell me. Find me and tell me. I'll be here through part of Monday.